Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Data Dispatch. And holy Toledo, the market's opening up red yet again. Talk about the choppiness and the selling pressure, especially among some of these individual names here. Palantir currently at a very critical level of support, even in the overnight session right here. On top of that, with a large anticipation for NVIDIA's earnings that will be coming out Wednesday. NVIDIA's earnings, the market is literally relying on them, looking for a reversal after we have seen this falling knife that has continued to fall faster within the market. One of the big things that we're also seeing is some capitulation. The whole kind of market sentiment, the fear and greed index is very low at extreme fear right now, as it seems everybody's starting to panic. But I can always remind myself, like Warren always says, when others are greedy, be fearful, and when others are fearful, be greedy. These are the times that, entering on conviction trades can really make out a decent return, all depending on your own risk appetite. So if you're a new or returning viewer, hit the like button, subscribe for daily videos. We're close to 28,000 subscribers. Let's see if we can hit it. I'll pop it up on the screen here. Palantir is currently at 171, and we're continuing to see this base that's been formed here, this large support level here at this 170 that's currently being tested as we speak. Palantir came down about 1.6% today, and currently in the overnight hours right here sits at 169.10. Now Palantir did have at short, during the pre-market last week, where Palantir actually dipped down here to about 165 and then had a large reversal kind of reclaiming that support at that 170 area. So that's what we'll be hoping for Palantir. No news, specifically for this individual stock. However, one thing I do like about this price action, as you see a lot of people calling the top for AI, calling it a bubble. This happens every few months, it seems like. But we are seeing more selling pressure across the board, I think due to some other macroeconomic effects. Nonetheless, Palantir, though, is remaining relatively resilient in terms of the AI trade and its current valuation. That's what keeps me bullish, and I really like to use Palantir, I've talked about this before, as a barometer for how the AI trade is playing out, because it is a leader and doesn't really have a ton of competitors in the AI software solutions. So Palantir sitting right here, I like it. And with the resiliency at 171, I also like it too. So we'll continue to be bullish on the AI trade. I am long term, starting to see some attractive prices that are starting to pop up across the board. And that's what we see right here is stock futures. They're a little change here after this whole tech slump they say weighs on the markets. Talking about NVIDIA here, we're seeing a little bit of a reduction, about 2% down, of course, ahead of the third quarter results due after Wednesday's close. NVIDIA here down about 188 in the after hours, currently at 184, kind of right underneath this 185 level. In terms of NVIDIA sitting there, I don't think that's also, necessarily a bad thing. Of course, you have this whole market narrative that's really shifting. Like I said, talking about the AI, is it taking a sharp left turn? You're starting to see a lot of people that are starting to panic. I mean, just look over X and it seems like everybody's seeing that, the stock market is going to go into some crazy, huge decline. Personally, I'm just not seeing it, despite the fears right here. I agree with this, statement right here that the AI cycle remains alive and well. We're not seeing any large headlines regarding AI or anything like that. Capital expenditures are still looking good, so hopefully NVIDIA can confirm these types of suspicions or try to trigger a reversal in the AI trade. That could be possible. If you couple that with rate cuts, that could also be another probability that could help push this market into a reversal and finally hopefully find some momentum to catch a bid. One of the big things that we are seeing, I think that the market is currently pricing in right now, is that future traders are currently pricing on only about a 40% chance of a cut for December. That was significantly lower than the previous percentage at about 90% here. So as the market really starts to reduce the probability of this, it's currently pricing this in, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I would rather have it, I think, happen now rather than more of a huge surprise come December. I think that would cause, a further sell-off or, more volatility within the market. So if the market is kind of basically, pricing in less than a 50% chance that we're going to get a rate cut in December due to some of the different things that we've seen regarding inflation concerns, even though we are still showing signs of a weakening labor market, we will have some delayed market data regarding jobs that should be coming out right here. Yep, delayed jobs data that will be coming out this week. A lot of investors will be looking at that since we've really been in limbo and have not had a ton of macroeconomic data due to the government shutdown. So that being said, if the signs do look good for the labor market that's continuing to cool, I think that will help increase the chance right here that we do see a December interest rate cut. We're also going to see also heavyweight names such as Walmart, Home Depot, and Target looking at consumer spending activity. That's going to give us a real big piece or a glimpse of the retail consumer, especially heading into the holiday season. So that'll be interesting there too. With right now the fear and greed index, you can see the emotion driving the market at extreme fear at 14. This correlates with an S&P 500 right here at 6672, down only about 1%. At 6672, we see that is down underneath 6700 now. We're starting to see some selling pressure, a little bit of redness across the week, and over the month, we're not seeing a ton of movement. So the market's taking a breather right here. I'm still anticipating hopefully a bid that does come in, still aligning with Tom Lee's prediction. And speaking of Tom Lee, oh my gosh, let's talk about this first. I see Trump coming in here saying a $2,000 tariff dividend will be sent to Americans by mid-2026. We'll see what happens with that, how true that's going to be. But nonetheless, another stimulus check question mark, I guess, that's going to help bring in a decent amount of liquidity into the market. But what you see here with crypto, oh my Lord, you see a Bitcoin down here at 90,000. Extreme fear and greed right down here at 15. Currently, Ethereum below 3,000 at 29.71. As we sit here, of course, you're seeing a falling knife that is continuing. A lot of selling pressure. I mean, Bitcoin and Ethereum down 15 to 18% over the last week, respectively. You're seeing a decent large sell-off. And as this looks here with BMNR, it's at $30. And literally we talked about BMNR in terms of its actual potential for reversal, where it's going to be testing support. And recently we talked about that whole 40 level. That was obviously a loss. It's down here at 30. But now you can see the 30 right here is a really important level of support. Looking at this previously, this is after BMNR made its immense run up. So specifically right here, the 200 moving average, it should hopefully offer some decent support, especially with hitting oversold RSIs across the board. Talking about a possible bounce, this could be the zone, hoping for this to be the zone, because oh my gosh, retail investors have been taking a beating. One thing in terms of conviction though, one thing that's keeping me, at least I guess you could say bullish for the long term, is that you're seeing institutions that are starting to accumulate BMNR and Ethereum at a very rapid rate, and especially with Bitcoin, we see a lot of dip buyers that are coming in. So as long as we continue to see that, of course, this is a very volatile asset. You could obviously see Bitcoin and Ethereum come down even more, especially with all of the selling pressure and kind of the market fears that we have seen. But nonetheless, in terms of catching that falling knife, you don't necessarily, if you're looking for a long-term type of reversal, I'm not trying to time the perfect bottom of the market because that's almost sometimes nearly impossible. Hopefully just catching that knife and not letting it far too much further. Of course, there is more room for leg down, but this is where, dollar cost averaging, not being overexposed, de-risking, not being over leveraged can all be good things. I mean, to keep the retail investor just at least sane and not insane or getting too emotional, because sometimes these trades can reverse pretty quick, and we know crypto can make some really, really quick moves. So right now, staying bullish on BMNR. We'll see what happens, especially at the support level here. We do know that Tom Lee is continuing to maintain a bullish outlook and is also accumulating Ethereum at a rapid pace. And hey, at least he can do it at a cheaper price in terms of the actual spot asset. Talking about things like IREN and CIFR, actually showing some resiliency here today in the AI data center trade. So I like that. I see CIFR here, 1435. You're seeing during this whole market type of sell-off that we're seeing, some of these AI data center trades are remaining pretty resilient. This is especially after IRENs came down like 40%. You see CIFR down like 30% here too from $25. So interesting to see that these stocks are being resilient after they've experienced a decent amount of a beatdown, which hopefully remains some optimism that we will continue to see some possibility for a reversal. But right now, just staying with current positions, looking for more reassurance of a possible bottom. Don't know if we see that yet. I think NVDA earnings are going to be very, very important. So I guess that's what we'll be waiting on. It'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow, if we see any choppiness. But however, we see a lot of volatility right now, a lot of different things occurring on in the market. At the end of the day, try not to get too involved with everything that you read online, and always stay true to yourself. I guess that's all I can say. Peace out. Take care. I'm going to catch you guys later.